Well, I left school. I must have been nearly 18 when I left school, much against my father's wishes. And I went to work in a place called Climax, which is, some of you may know where it is. It's at the top of Tucking Mill Hill. And I was quite bewildered when I went there first, because there was a big factory out behind and a big office, and coming from school, I was totally out of my depth. But I'd been hired because in those days, it was very easy to get jobs, especially women, because there was a big turnover, because women, after marrying, didn't work. So there was a limited time in which women usually had a working life. So I went to work because it was my wish to do so. And then the person that hired me I was recommended to him by his fiancée, who was a neighbour of mine. And he wanted me, because I was well qualified with a good school certificate, to learn all the jobs in the office, so that if anyone was ever sick, I could fill in for them. So this is how I began. And the main thing I remember is that the biggest occurrence of the week was to pay the people. And we counted out the money, and the money then, because no one was paid through the bank, or maybe the higher up people had checks maybe, but the people in the workplace had actual cash. And the pennies were quite large at that time, and also the other coins. And so there would be this huge pile of money, and each week when they went for the money, my boss would have the chauffeur to go with him as a kind of an escort, and they would take a different route every week to the. Well, you couldn't take many routes around Camborne, but they took a different route every week. And then they'd bring the money in, and then it all had to be counted again in case it wasn't right, before you began to put it in the pay packets. Now, all the pay packets would be there ready, with it written on the front of them, the amount that the person was going to be paid. I mean, this all sounds incredible now, and it took, well, quite a bit of time, but I've soon realised that the people who were experienced in the office were so quick at doing it. People worked in pairs. Someone loaded the money and someone else checked it. And so after this, the packets were all sealed up, and then it was all put into boxes, and the foreman of each of the workshops in the factory would come up to fetch it. So from that, I was also doing clerical work, which we were preparing the wages. But I just remember that the first day when all this money came out, I was quite astounded.